Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Winners and Whiners NFL Prediction Show. It's NFL Championship weekend, and we're ready to dominate these two games. My name's Mason Folz. I'm going to be your host today. We have another exceptional cast with us, but before we dive in and meet all of those awesome handicappers, I wanted to go through a little checklist items with you guys. If you could, before we start going through these games, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Don't forget to head over to the main Winners and Whiners website where you can find all of our expert picks. You can also head over to Twitter where you can find all of Reichel's free picks. So that's where he will be putting out all of his games. And this is also being recorded on Tuesday. So make sure you check for any little line movements or big updates before you place your bets. But now that that's out of the way, let's dive into meeting these awesome cappers. To my right, or I guess it's to my left technically, I've got the man in PA, Reichel. How you doing, sir?
I'm wonderful. I'm ready to get to this championship weekend. I'm excited. Super Bowl's coming up.
It's a little bit of an interesting week for you, I guess I'd say, Tom, as really thought your Eagles would be there. What are your thoughts on their final season game?
There's always next year. I don't know. We couldn't do anything. Offensively, defensively, we just stunk.
Yep.
Bad showing.
Other than Jim Moore, how did you like to play?
And now to his right, another great capper. I'd like to get his opinion on his latest team's game as well. Up in Buffalo, or maybe not in Buffalo, but he's cheering for Buffalo. Chris King, how you doing, sir?
About 800 miles south.
True.
You know, what can you do? You can't complain. The one thing that I take away from it is the national media will continue to feed whatever rhetoric that they have to try and push the storyline, because all I've heard today on ESPN is that Josh Allen sucks. What the hell else could he have done in that game? And I texted back and forth with Steehn throughout that contest Sunday night, and there wasn't a damn thing that he could have done that would have changed the result of that game, unless you're going to say that he should have thrown to Diggs on the play out of the 2-minute warning instead of trying to go to Shakir. But I'll tell you this, if Chris Jones doesn't have one of his elite reps and pushes Dawkins back into Josh Allen, that's a touchdown.
Yep. Nope. It was definitely a very interesting game. Went both ways. I will say watching both of those quarterbacks go head-to-head is a serious treat. I can't wait for their future matchups, as I think we're going to see a few more. Those are two of the best QBs in the NFL, and it was a great game, but unfortunate for the Bills in that one. A little disappointing, but we'll see what the Chiefs can do this next week. Now below Chris King, we've got another big NFL capper. He's a huge Jets fan. He feels just like I do, as I cheer for the Broncos, as we don't really have to worry about the playoffs, but that makes it a little better sometimes as we get to focus on some ball, really make some solid bets. Scott Reichel, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Bills lost, Dolphins lost. I'm at peace, so I can't really complain too much. But yeah, fun games this past weekend. I know that the first round with the Super Wildcard weekend, most of the games were terrible. The games this past week were good for the most part. You had one exception, but 3 out of 4, not bad. And yeah, hopefully the games this week are just as good as the games last week.
Yep, I completely agree. And our final guest, you guys know him. He's one of your favorites, one of our co-hosts as well, Mr. Scott the Steamroller Steehn. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. It's nice to be on a panel with 4 guys who don't give a shit about this weekend's games, and just pretty much 4 guys that are thinking about the draft in 2024. So
no, we're gambling on the game, so we care.
Well, either way, that situation would still apply, because if the Chiefs had lost, there'd still be 4 of you that didn't give a shit about this weekend's games.
You know what? It's my favorite team is whoever I'm betting on. So it's for bettors, we always have favorite teams. That's always going to be the case. You know, Chris, without seeing the All-22, I don't know what else Allen could have done. Maybe he had some guys open when he scrambled. I don't know. It certainly didn't look like it in real time. You know, he played as well as Josh Allen can play. He did what he does. He runs the football. He occasionally throws it. He avoided the terrible throws for the most part. Had a couple that could have been picked, but no, he acquitted himself well. It was a good game between two teams that are pretty much equal. And somebody.
I think the biggest thing in the game was the drops. I mean, you saw the one where he threw it 65 yards down the field and hit Diggs in the hands.
You know, I'm a little less anxious to jump on the drops than the national narrative is. Both of those catches were extremely difficult catches. You said, yeah, it went right through his hands, but if you've spent any time at receiver trying to catch a football, he's 60 yards down the field, and you've got maybe 0.15 of a second to have your hands in the right place and make that squeeze. That's a tough catch. Should Diggs have made it? Sure. But, is that a drop? Is that like Kadarius Toney hitting him in the hands? No, it's not the same level. We know drops in Kansas City. That was a pass that should have been caught but wasn't.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. And as someone who watched all those Chiefs drops, I will definitely say that there were a few more in their games that I'd say, as a better way to look at it, hit him right in the chest or right in the numbers, and it just hit the ground. That one to Diggs, he's jumping, he's got a possible pass interference they're battling, and it hit the ground. But I've seen drops, and that looks like a challenge.
I call it a 60-40.
Yeah,
I think he should make that catch 65% of the time, somewhere in that.
That's fair. I think the other one that bothered me was the one to Sherfield where it hit him here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then he
down the sideline,
but he trapped it on the floor.
Well, that was the second one.
Oh yeah,
there's the one where he went up the sideline. The other one was 35 yards up the sideline.
Yeah,
I don't remember who was covering, if it was McDuffie or not. But another one, I think if Gabe Davis was there, as much as Gabe Davis was maligned for drops, I think he probably would haul that ball in because he loves to play against Kansas City.
Oh, Gabe Davis, there's no question he would have had a huge game since the fantasy season is over, and I rode him all year.
Into the ground, so did I.
No question Gabe Davis would have exploded in that game. I don't doubt that for one second.
All right, and on with that, let's start looking at these games this weekend. On to the NFL Championship weekend. Divisional rounds over. We've got two stellar games. I was going to start with the AFC Championship first. This will be the early game on Sunday. It's between the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to be traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, who are 3.5-point favorites. And this total is set at 44.5 points. Rye, why don't you start us off? Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, so the Ravens had the extra day to prepare. In fact, Baltimore hasn't played on the road since Christmas night. They've been home in their own beds with friends, families for over a month. KC will be playing their second consecutive road game. They've been in this spot twice this season. First time was early in the season. They swept against the Jets and the Vikings. Most recently, they won in Las Vegas, and then they headed into Green Bay and got beat. I don't think the weather should be an issue here, seeing both teams are used to the bad weather. Both teams have seen the defense be the strength this season. Chiefs defense ranks 7th in defensive DVOA. Baltimore's number 1. Chiefs play well against the pass, but struggle against run. Ravens are a run-first team, and they're the best running team in football. Chiefs give up the 8th most rushing yards to QBs. They haven't really faced many mobile QBs this season. So I think Lamar Jackson should have his way with this defense. I think that Kansas City is going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to do it effectively. Baltimore's bigger, faster, healthier. Chiefs have struggled offensively. If they do that here, they're going to have problems. I think Ravens handle business at home.
I like it. Chris, do you agree with Tom? Are you taking the Ravens, or are you going to fade that and head with the Chiefs?
Well, I mean, I think the big issue, and Tom hit on it, is mobile quarterbacks are a problem. And we saw Willie Gay get hurt early in that game Sunday. He didn't come back. I don't know if Steen's heard an update on him or not at this point. But he's obviously the guy that you want to have spying on a mobile quarterback. And you saw Allen run for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. If Gay doesn't play, Kansas City could have issues. I mean, as it was, Buffalo ran the ball, 37 times for 182 yards, and we're not the best rushing team in football. I think Baltimore is going to present an issue with that. I think they're going to run the ball. They're going to force Kansas City into some uncomfortable situations, and I don't know if with the number of injuries that we saw, because I mean Mike Edwards got hurt on the second play of the game.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, we said Gay got hurt. Who else went out? Because I know there was somebody else they kept talking about, but I forgot who it was.
We lost one of the corners for a minute. But
I know McDuffie went out but came back.
Edwards is out. Edwards is out with a concussion. Or that's
He's
a fit, right?
Yeah. I know McDuffie went out, but he came back, I thought.
Yeah, I think that's the one we're thinking of.
Okay. But with Gay, you guys, when I talked to you guys on Twitter, you said, or on text, you said that Bolton is not the guy you want to have spying. And you don't want Tranquil spying either because he's worse than Bolton.
Yes, that's correct.
Gay's
the only guy with the lateral speed to be able to spy Lamar Jackson effectively.
Yeah, so if you don't have
whatever problems they had doing it with Allen, they're going to be multiplied with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with that because Lamar's a lot. Allen's one of those guys that's just going to run you over.
Yeah,
Lamar's going to just try and run around for 45 minutes until you get tired.
Yeah. When he gets the ball, Allen's a fullback. Well, Jackson's a tailback. That's pretty much the difference.
That's fair. I'm going to lean towards Baltimore. Like Rye said, they're at home. They're rested. They don't have the injury issues. I'll say this. You can't count out Kansas City, but I just don't know what they have left at this point.
I can agree with that. It's definitely going to be a close game. Could go either way, but I really like that analysis, Chris. Thank you. Reichel, how about you? You lean in with these guys, or are you going towards the Chiefs a little bit? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I like the Chiefs against the Bills. Maybe his reputation, but I had no faith in McDermott actually beating this team for once in his life in the playoffs, so I just assumed Kansas City would find a way to win. But Kansas City, I thought, was good for the most part. Offensively, they were very good early. Then the game kind of died in the fourth quarter, and you kind of got to see that Kansas City's receivers still were not generating much separation. Pacheco was fine, but besides the big plays to Scantling and some other plays to Kelsey in the first half or first three quarters, I just have too many questions about the lack of weapons for this Chiefs offense, especially against an elite defense. The Ravens were great against the Texans, didn't give up a single touchdown. The only touchdown was the punt return, obviously. But the point is, I do think that the Ravens' defense is just much better than Buffalo's, and I do think that they can get after Mahomes. The Bills had 0 sacks in that game, which was a big story. Props to the Chiefs' offensive line for protecting Mahomes, but I do think that Baltimore can be more successful in that area. We mentioned the issues with Kansas City against mobile quarterbacks. We saw Allen play well. I think Lamar can do the same, as he had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Texans. But I do think looking at the spot, even though I'm going to give Kansas City props for making it this far, and even though, of course, I feel bad going against Mahomes, who is the best quarterback in the entire league, I do think team-wise, Baltimore is the better overall team by a decent amount. And I think because of that, I'm going to lean to Baltimore. It's not going to be easy. I think it's going to be close. Turnovers might be the story in this game, but I just think that Baltimore's defense will do a better job at getting after Mahomes, and I do think that Baltimore will run the ball well against this team. I'm going to lean to Baltimore. 3.5 is annoying because I honestly could see a 3-point score if I had to actually try to think of how this game's going to unfold. But give me Baltimore by 7. I think they're the better team, and I think defensively they can do things to make Kansas City's lack of playmakers very noticeable during the course of these 60 minutes. So I'm going to lean to Baltimore to win by 7.
To be fair, saying Baltimore's defense is better than Buffalo's, considering we were playing a 4th-string linebacker, it's kind of hard when you compare that to Roquan Smith and
well, regardless, that's kind of my point either way. Kelsey got loose, had a lot of options. Maybe Mark Andrews comes back to help out the offense as well, but Baltimore's healthier, as you said before, then your defense was banged up. They're not paying Von Miller double-digit $1 million to do nothing, so that also helps out. But I think you're looking at Baltimore once again. I just think that they're the more complete unit. They are the best unit in football when it comes to defense. I think that's pretty obvious. I think they can do enough to keep Mahomes in check. And Buffalo did move the ball up and down the field for a decent portion of that game. So Baltimore by 7.
Perfect. And last and certainly not least, Steamroller, you betting on your Chiefs in this one? Or are you going with the Ravens?
Well, here's the deal. Ryan mentioned the fact that the Baltimore Ravens have the number 1 defense in the NFL. Mahomes has faced the number 1 defense in the NFL 7 times in his career, including the playoffs. 6-1, 31 points per game, 322 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 94.3.
7 picks,
rate.
though. Okay. 7 picks.
How many of those games
Okay.
was Tyreek Hill on the field? I'm just asking because I was wondering.
I don't have them listed out. I don't know. Probably half of them. Probably 3 of the 7 would be my guess. So, but the problem that I see is it's going to be a lot of the same problems that the Buffalo Bills had last week, and I've got two issues with the Chiefs here. First of all, is the injuries on the defensive side. Chris already talked about it a little bit with Willie Gay being questionable. Even more important when it comes to stopping the run is Derek Notting, who is pretty much a dedicated run stopper, and he's questionable with a triceps injury. Those two are huge injuries. Mike Edwards is a safety position I'm not that worried about because his replacement, Shamari Connor, was the highest rated defensive player by Pro Football Focus of the divisional round weekend. So he stepped in and not only acquitted himself well, but absolutely cost him nothing as far as that injury goes. The other problem with the Chiefs is when they played the Bills had no inside rush. They were able to get a little bit of pressure on the outside, and Mahomes was able to consistently step up into the pocket and find the receiver downfield. The key to stopping Mahomes is having someone at that second level when he makes that move out of the pocket, be it laterally or forward, to have somebody there to disrupt him. And I think Baltimore's going to be able to do that with an absolute monster trio there up the middle with Pierce at the nose and Smith and Queen in the inside linebackers. I think that they are going to be able to generate the pressure. I hate to do it. You know I do, especially since all of you are on Baltimore. But I do think they are the more complete team when it comes to this. I'm going to keep an eye on that line. At 3.5, I'm tempted with KC. Getting anything more than a field goal makes it awfully tempting. And if it gets to 4, I'm going to have to seriously rethink it. But
I think if it goes anywhere, it's going to 3.
Yeah, that would be the way I look at it too, Tom. I think that's the more likely line move. So, yeah, I've got a premium on the total in this game. But as far as the side goes, I hate to do it, but I think it's Baltimore's year. I really do. Plus, there was the preview where they made the mistake and put Baltimore, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that on Twitter?
Yeah.
So,
and to your point about Pierce, don't forget Justin Matabuike up the middle too. He had 13 sacks during the regular season from the other D tackle spot.
Right. Depending on how they loop those guys, he's either going to be a danger on the outside or the inside as well. And they run a lot of stunts. They run a lot of loops and twists. So you've always got to keep your eye on be able to get your assignments straight. Know who's got a hat on who. It's a challenging team to play. There's no question about it. I think the way I see this, if both teams play as well as they're capable of, I think Baltimore has a small edge. And I'll say it just like I did with the Bills game. I think Baltimore is the team that has a better chance of bringing their A game than Kansas City. Could Baltimore bring their B game, Kansas City bring their A game, and have the Chiefs get the victory? Absolutely could happen. You know, you bet against playoff Patrick at your own peril. But in this case, I think this is Baltimore's year. I've got the Ravens. I'll lay the 3.5. If it gets to 4, I'm probably going to pass.
Are you concerned about Tooney at all? Because I guess they said he's trained to pack in the game Sunday.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's another huge issue. The Kansas City interior line, I could certainly make the argument they're the best in the league. And missing Joe Tooney out of that trio, it's absolutely a huge factor, and that's something else to keep an eye on. I would say if Tooney's out and Gay is out, I think it's possible we could get it to 4. Not likely, but possible. So, yeah. Then thanks for reminding me of that, Chris. That's another critical injury there for the Chiefs as well. You know, I worry. I watched this Chiefs game absolutely get curb stomped in the run game for the first half of that Buffalo game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Allen. It was anybody that got the football. they were getting consistent 7 to 9 yards on first down. And that is the absolute number one formula for successful drives is getting huge yards on first down, staying ahead of the chains. But Bills were able to do that easily. I worry the Baltimore Ravens are going to be able to do that for the entire
And just
I
like
mean,
that,
I will say Spags adjusted well in the second half because I think we ran 17 times for 59 yards or whatever. But you have to, like you said, you have to worry if Baltimore does so much damage in the first half. Will it matter if you adjust at that point?
And I will say there is no team in football that fears a double-digit deficit less than Kansas City.
Yeah.
They don't care. If you've seen the stats on Mahomes, I want to say he's like 63-65% when trailing by double digits, and nobody else in NFL history is over 45. It's just it's phenomenal. Deficit means nothing. Down in distance really means nothing to this team. Win, they're firing on all cylinders, and that's a big if, and that's a big win because we've seen it for exactly a game and a half here, let's say, in the playoffs so far. So I wish I had more faith in this team. I just don't think it's their year.
I'll fade the team with McCall Hardman and Kadarius Toney potentially getting snaps.
Well, Tony's not going to play.
Yeah, no,
I think
Tony's out. He's been sent out to pasture. But yeah, Hardman just decided to take his place, I guess. So
I thought it was funny that they were listing Sky Moore as a critical injury that he wasn't going to play last week. I was like, who's it critical for? Us?
I think the majority of Chiefs fans would be happy about that.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, Sky Moore and Tony are both guys that have had their moments. They've just been way too few. And in the case of Tony, the downside has certainly outweighed the upside with a couple of just
same with Hardman.
Critical drops. Hardman. Both I'd say Sky and Moore and Hardman are both 3 to 5 on a scale of 10. I don't think they don't hurt you. They don't help you. He's not. Hardman isn't known as a fumbler. Yes, he really had a bad game. One of the worst stat lines of all time. We have 2 carries, 0 yards, 2 fumbles.
Yeah,
he had one catch, 2 fumbles. So,
that's right, because that's right. There was a forward pass on the sweep play. Yeah, absolutely right. So yeah, that's my concern. So we'll see what happens. Should be a fun.
All right. So that makes it all 4 of you are on the Ravens, laying the 3.5 points, correct?
Yeah, I didn't mention before, by the way. I like the under in the game, but
okay.
I like Baltimore.
I like that. I'm actually I'm saving my play on the side for my premium play, but I did find a prop that really jumped off the page for me. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson to score anytime at -125 at home. The Chiefs, they're giving up about 115 rushing yards per game. We saw them get dominated on the ground by Buffalo last week in that first half. And they're also giving up 4.5 yards per carry, which ranks them 25th in the NFL. I think that's going to be a struggle for them. And Lamar Jackson, he's going to continue to get down to that goal line and find different ways to get into the end zone. So I liked his price at -125. That's going to be my free play for this AFC Championship game on Sunday. And then our final game later in the day. This is going to be a good one. It's going to be interesting. The Detroit Lions, I still can't believe I'm saying that on championship weekend, will be traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers, who are currently 7-point favorites. This total set at 51. Rye, kick it off for us. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I know how those Lions fans feel right now. I hear everybody talking about golf struggles outdoors, but really he's been 3-2 straight up, 3-2 ACTS this season. Not horrible. He should be comfortable playing here as he played at college at Cal. Weather should be a non-factor. I expect Detroit to attack this 49ers defense the same way Green Bay did. They're one of the better passing teams in football. I also expect them to run the ball effectively with Gibbs. Gibbs and Jones are similar backs. I think Gibbs could break off a big one. Detroit is also a good offensive red zone team, unlike Green Bay. So I expect them to capitalize in that area. I think they're going to score points against the San Francisco team. They scored 24 or more in 5 of their last 6 games. I'm also expecting Debo to be out. I think this is too many points here. Lions seem like a live dog to me. I know everybody loves the Lions to be in the Super Bowl, but I'm with them. Go Lions.
I like it. I like it. Chris, do you agree? You jumping on the Lions bandwagon?
I think you kind of have to think that way because we've seen when Samuel doesn't play, that 49ers offense looks nothing like it does when he's on the field. They sputtered through long stretches of that game against Green Bay last week. They were fortunate that, Green Bay's kicker can't hit the broadside of a friggin' barn half the time. He made Tyler Bass's kick look good. At least Tyler Bass was kicking into a friggin' windstorm. Like Rice said, Aaron Jones gashed that defense. If it wasn't for Trey Greenlaw getting a couple interceptions, who knows if San Francisco would even be here. And he pointed out how Goff played at Cal, and he's also familiar with the stadium from playing with the Rams. He's been there before. It's not anything new. And we saw Sam Laporta, when we were here 2 weeks ago before the wild card round, we didn't know if he was going to play that week after he got hurt in week 18. And he's come right out and been a huge factor in both these playoff wins. You still got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Josh Reynolds made some plays. Hell, Craig Reynolds scored a touchdown. I think 7 points is too many.
I like it. I like it. Reichel, do you agree? Is 7 points too many for the 49ers?
Yeah, so Samuel's 50-50, so even if he does play, which I think he will, I think he mostly will be a decoy, maybe a couple of quick screen passes, see if he gets loose, but I think he might play, but be kind of a non-factor. I think I'm going to lean to the Niners here. Just the fact that they're at home, I think is going to help. They didn't play that well against the Packers, and they still won, and the Packers were one of the hotter teams in the league. The main reason why I'm going to take the Niners in this game is because of the fact that even though it is in California, and it's not going to be insanely bad weather for January, a question for everybody here on the panel. Do you know the last time the Lions played a road game?
Yeah, outdoor, you mean?
Yeah, outdoors.
December 10th.
December 10th. They lost to Chicago by 15. So they've played one outdoor game basically a month and a half. Do you know how many road games they've played since October 21st?
2.
The answer is 2. They played 2 road games since October 21st outdoors, and they lost to Baltimore by 32 points. So they've played 2 games outside of a dome in general over the last basically 3 months, and they lost both games by double digits. So I think, once again, the Goff outdoor angle might be accurate because they've been playing in a bunch of domes and been playing at home a lot. So I do think that outdoors facing off against the Niners pass rush, which really didn't do much against the Packers, but we know can definitely be a problem for some teams to handle. Decker got injured. Jackson got injured. There are some injuries to the offensive line for Detroit in this game. And we know that Goff is a lawn chair. So if he's forced to move laterally by any means, he's a lost cause. So I think they're looking at this matchup, even though Debo is seriously injured, I do think, once again, losing your only 2 outdoor games since October 22nd by double digits is probably not a good look for this team. I'm going to lean to the Niners. I think the offensive line injuries are serious for Detroit, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. Decker's been playing through it. Ragnow also got injured. So they're pretty banged up for basically 60% of the offensive line, and I do think the Niners can play a lot better than they did against the Packers. I'm going to lean to the Niners. I do think the Lions' pass defense is also a mess. Fun fact, the Lions have given up at least 345 passing yards in 5 straight games. So, have fun trying to guard those receivers. But I'm going to link to the Niners. They've been here before. Yes, I give props to Detroit for getting to this point. Playing at home helps with that atmosphere in Ford Field. I see them struggling. I see the Niners bouncing back after a pretty bad showing for basically, 3.5 quarters last week. I think they look sharper. Give me the Niners to get the job done here. I think they win by 10.
Steehn, do you agree with Reichel? Or are you betting with Rye and Mr. King?
I want to point out, Reichel did a classic handicapper trick right there. He said that the Lions are 0-2 outdoors since the 15th of October. Well, what he didn't tell you, the 3 games they played outdoors before that, against Kansas City, Green Bay, and Tampa, they won and covered.
Yeah, but that was so long ago, so I didn't bother mentioning
it. And it was warm.
Well, one of them was it's going to be 67 with no rain in San Francisco. So I would posit that's going to be close.
No, the weather's fine. The weather's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they played in Tampa Bay on the 15th. They played in Baltimore on the 22nd, and that's when your streak started. So
Yeah.
another way to say that, they're 3-2 outdoors this season as far as playing non-dome teams.
Yeah, but it sounds better when you say 0-2. So that's why.
I know it does. That's why
It didn't fit the narrative.
Absolutely. And I hate to call out one of my own, but
No, you can do it. It's fine. It's all good.
Having said that, I'm worried about the same thing that Scott's worried about. I'm worried about the injuries on this offensive line with Jonah Jackson doubtful and Frank Ragnow questionable. I believe earlier this season there was a player listed as doubtful and he played, and I believe it's the first time it's happened in 2 seasons.
And
Yeah,
Decker,
I think they've already said that Williams isn't going to play. He had a scope, I think, yesterday. They say he could return for the Super Bowl.
You mean Jonah Jackson?
You mean Jackson?
Yeah, Jonah Jackson. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
Right.
you got him, and you didn't even mention Decker, by the way, who might have rolled something in that game last week. So once again, they're like down to what? 2 healthy offensive linemen, 2 starting healthy offensive linemen.
Decker's not on the injury report right now. So
Yeah, but I'm saying he was playing through it, but you could tell he definitely injured something in that game.
And Ragnow, they say he's going to play because he went back in that game even though he was hurt.
Yeah. I'm that's worrisome that you've got of course. The counter argument to that would be it's January. People are going to be banged up after 19 or 20 games or 19 games, whatever, 18, 19 games throughout the season. So, I'm gonna ride with Detroit here. I think that's 7 points is just a little bit too big of an ask. I'm not sure which San Francisco team we're going to see. I'm not sure if we're going to see the team that rolled through their NFC West schedule there, or we're going to see the team that went and got smoked by Baltimore, or stayed home and got smoked by Baltimore. Yeah. If that team shows up, that's a very beatable team, and I think the Lions have the team to do it. I'm not sure the Lions win, but I'm going to keep an eye on this. This is another one that I think probably has a bigger possibility of going to 6.5 than it does 7.5. But if we get bad injury news, the market reacts. It's possible we could get there, but I think 7's a fair number. I'm going to play the Lions here. Let me see those Lions roar. How about Lions in the Super Bowl? I'd go for that.
I think the Lions getting 7 sounds about right, to be honest. I'm just going to lean that way. If it landed 7, I don't think any of us would be surprised if the game just landed exactly 7.
No. And Rachel, how come you didn't point out that the 49ers lost their last 2 home games of the regular season?
Because they won the last one in the playoffs, so it doesn't.
Well, see, but they're only 1-2 in their last 3 at home.
You're including the Carson Wentz game. You're including the Week 18 game with Sam Darnold.
They lost.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Hey, it's on the schedule, man.
Context there.
To win the game.
Just saying, though. Using Darnold in Week 18 is kind of important to mention for that one.
Let me ask you guys a question. Are you guys still sure about Brock Purdy?
Sure about what?
I think he can't play in the rain.
I was going to say, when you say sure, like regarding what? At no point did I think he was a legitimate MVP candidate, but I think he's fine.
Good enough. Yeah, he's good enough to run this system.
He's a confident game manager. That's what everyone thought he was.
Tom, where do you rank him out of 32?
Mid.
Are we assuming
15,
everybody's healthy? Because half the quarterbacks died this year. So
He did.
Chris?
I'd say probably around 10 or 12.
Yep.
Okay. Reichel?
I'm in the same boat. I got like 10 or 12. I think he's fine. Once again, having great receivers helps, but I think he's fine. So give him 10.
I'm closer to Tom in the 15-16 range. I think
he's not a top 10 quarterback.
No, I don't think so either. Mason, what do you say?
I'd say 13 to 15. I think having McCaffrey and Kittle and Trent Williams, and that helps tremendously.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Mason, what do you got for this? We haven't heard from you yet, buddy.
For this game, I'm actually going to ride with the 49ers -7. I like that they're
Let's
at
go.
home. I've been betting on the Lions all postseason. It's been a lot of fun, but my biggest worry the last few weeks betting on them, I put my bet in and then I go and look, and it looks like the public is just all over the Lions. Everyone wants them to win. Everyone's betting on them. If we know anything about Vegas, they don't care about the public. I think I'm going to fade them here for that reason exactly. I'm going to take the 49ers -7. I think that they're the better defensive team, as I simply don't trust this Detroit secondary. I think the Lions are going to struggle to stop the pass, and I think the 49ers are going to continue to roll. I know it was a little bit of a sleeper last week, but I really liked that Packers team. I thought they were really good, and I think the story's going to end for the Lions in this one. So I'm going to end Championship Sunday with the 49ers -7.
I think you bring up a great point, Mason. I think there's going to be a lot of money coming in from people that are going to bet on the result they want to see versus the result that is more likely. I think that's also going to be true in the Chiefs game, by the way. I think the Chiefs are absolutely despised outside of about a 100-mile radius around Kansas City. So I think there's going to be a lot of fade the Chiefs money come in as well. I think there's going to be a lot of pro-Detroit money come in, and I don't think that money is necessarily going to be smart money.
I think there's going to be more pro-Detroit money because I don't think that many people in the public are going to go out of their way and say, you know, I really want to bet against Mahomes while laying points. I feel like there's going to be more public people on Detroit because it's not even just the fact that there's a good story. It's because of last week. They're going to look at the Niners and go, well, you know, they almost lost to a Green Bay team at home. Like, they shouldn't even be here, and Detroit looked good. So I think more pro-Detroit money is going to come in on than more anti-Kansas City money from the public.
Anecdotally, and I have no data to back this up whatsoever, but it seems to me that teams playing like shit in the division round means absolutely nothing if they make it to the championship game.
It's survive in advance, as far as I'm concerned. So
I agree. I think you see a lot of surprise performances where you're like, well, San Francisco sucked last week, so they suck. And then all of a sudden they go out and win by 13 or 14. And that certainly could happen, but I'm going to play the other side. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I like it. Just a few different ways to look at these games. I know that you can look at the numbers or you can look about how they played last week. I know a lot of people do that, but the NFL's crazy and you never really know what's going to happen this championship Sunday. So that wraps up both of our games. That's all we've got for you guys this week. But before you go, I wanted to let all of our awesome handicappers tell you where you can find all of their incredible work. We'll start with the man next to me, Reichel. Tom Macrina, where can we find all your awesome picks?
Yeah, so I'm at Reichel on all social media. You can find me as Tom Macrina on Winners and Whiners. Yeah, I'm ready to go. We have NASCAR season coming up. So make sure you get on that Discord. I post plays in there all the time as well. Let's cash some tickets.
Ricky Rudd.
Absolutely. Yep, you can definitely find Rye in that Discord. Don't forget about that as he's in there. He's chopping it up with all of our degenerate handicapping friends as we're in there every single day, putting in picks, props, parlays. We've been winning a bunch of money, so don't be afraid to hop on that link in the description. Come and hang out with all of us in that Discord. Now, how about you, Chris?
You have NASCAR Tourette's?
Why am I saying Ricky Rudd? Well, I was going to throw in Dick Trickle because we used to throw those guys in there. And don't forget Harry Gant.
Well, you know what? I'm not even going to say. It's such a softball, but I'm not going to do it. Chris, where the hell are you?
I was trying to set you up.
Yeah, I know. No, I had to let that one go. I felt that.
He's taking the ball on that one.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
All right.
Obviously, you can see me. You can see me on Twitter, Betting Royalty. You can catch me always on Winners and Whiners, and sometimes Stat Salt if something comes up. And Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. if God willing, if I'm awake.
You had a big week last week, right? Didn't you hit like four teamers?
Yeah, I saw
that. Yeah, last week was good. I missed a fifth one because who the hell expected the Sharks and the Ducks to actually score goals? That game was terrible. The game scoreless for 35 minutes, and they combined for 5 goals in the last 5 minutes of the second period. What the hell is this?
Well,
it's funny, but
that's the last leg of a parlay. That's how I swear they always work out. Pretty impressive that you got those first 4. But is that where you can find you on? You said Betting Royalty, right? You said that on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Make sure to give him a follow there. And below him, Scott Reichel, where can we find all your awesome free picks? I know you're handing out everything for free.
Yeah, so you can find all my picks on Twitter at Reichel Radio, whether it's in YouTube video format or whether it's in podcast. I think every podcast I do is a live stream too, so you can probably hop in on YouTube and find it. But Australian Open, been covering tennis for every round, been doing NBA every day, been doing NFL as well here and on podcast format. So be keeping busy, but find all the links and all of the overall podcasts on my Twitter, Reichel Radio.
And don't forget to squash out for Scott's new ebook, Coaches I Hate, coming soon to a Kindle near you.
I got to add Doc Rivers back
Volume
to the list,
1.
though, because now he's employed again. So now NBA, I have another one to add to the list, you know?
I'm buying the hardback.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. So definitely give him a follow on Twitter there. And then make sure to get over on Twitter so you can give the old Steamroller a follow as well. Scott, where can we find all your awesome picks as well?
You can find me at winnerswhiners.com under the experts tab. You can also find me on the Winners Whiners YouTube channel. Inexplicably having a good little college basketball run here. 16-4 my last 28-0 run. So check out those premium plays as well. And Reichel, we tried to have a little homage to you the other night. My son was at the Islanders Blackhawks game, and it went into overtime. And I told him to text me as soon as they scored the goal, but we couldn't quite get it in. I still got locked out.
Happens. I respect the effort though, but
we gave it a shot. Little hat tip.
So how does he feel that he got to witness the final game of a head coach because they fired the coach right after the game?
I haven't asked him. He's there for a convention, and I haven't got to talk to him a lot other than when he was at the game.
Is that what they call it now? Trying to scheme and gambling is called the convention now? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, no. He actually went a day early just so he could go to the game.
Nice. That's commitment right there.
He's like, I should have known how that was going to end.
Yep.
He went to watch the Blackhawks without Connor Bedard and half their roster.
He's an Islanders fan.
I used to drive up to Nassau to watch them.
There you go.
$2 games.
Wasn't a great stadium, but it was our stadium, the Nassau Coliseum. I still remember I caught a T-shirt back in the day. I caught a T-shirt from the Zamboni, whatever, and it was wrapped in like duct tape, like brown duct tape. Like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, yeah, okay, that's kind of what I was expecting.
There's something about hockey where you just don't care if it's a shitty stadium.
No, not
more than any other sport. It kind of seems to fit with the ambience. If it's got some wood or the bleachers are a little fucked up or something, it's fine. The glass has got duct tape holding it together. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's hockey, man. We're good.
The squeaking every time you get up from the chair, like the feeling of the floor underneath you starting to like rumble a little bit. Like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yep, 100%.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, I might have to make a little trip to head over and watch the Islanders after hearing all that.
You ever go though? You ever go to any Avalanche games?
I go to a lot of Avalanche games. Yeah, they're pretty fun. They're definitely more fun as of late the last few years, but. Yeah, no, awesome stadium or arena, I guess they call it.
Wait, so it's more fun when your team's good?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Reichel doesn't know what that's like.
Flyers. Look at the Flyers.
We used to go see the Blues in the Checker Dome. That was what a great old barn that was.
Oh, that was a great barn. I went there once or twice.
That's just where hockey should be played. The new Pepsi Arena, whatever, the new place in Long Island. It's too standard.
The Hartford Civic Center.
Yeah, give me some.
The old Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo was always nice because every row of seats, or section of seats, you sat in the golds or the reds or the blues, oranges or whatever. I think Madison Square Garden used to be like that once upon a time too. But yeah, Lake Colisée in Quebec. A lot of good old barns.
Never been to Canada, but I'll take your word for it.
Neither. But yeah,
neither one of you guys were alive when the Avalanche had their rivalry with the Red Wings either. So,
nope, that was.
I know about it.
Yeah, I know about it very well, but I was a wee lad when that was happening. But that wraps up our NFL show. I know we're talking about hockey a little bit. If you haven't been betting on any hockey, make sure to get over to the Winners and Whiners website. Check out all our free picks. I've talked to a few of my friends who have been using those free articles on those hockey games. Man, they've been winning parlays left and right. So that's been awesome to see. I've also got all of my free picks and videos over on Twitter at Mason Folz. We've also got all of our Winners and Whiners social media accounts. So we're rocking and rolling on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, you name it, Twitter X, whatever it's called anymore. We're there. We're putting out free picks, free content, free parlays. So get over there, give us a follow. We'll look to consistently take you to the green. I also have my premium expert picks over on the Winners and Whiners website, currently on a 14-1 NBA run and a 15-1 overall best bet run. So don't be afraid to hop on those picks as I'm going to look to keep dominating those books. But that wraps up our NFL.
I did want to say one thing real quick, Mason. You know what we're doing next week? Not a show. Not a show for the first time in 5 months.
2 weeks.
So we will not have a show next week. However, the week after that, we will be doing our Super Bowl extravaganza with me and Mason and everybody from both shows, maybe some special guests. Other than that, it should be a lot of fun. So make sure you tune in for that. Maybe we'll even do it live. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out what we're going to do. But make sure you check out our Super Bowl extravaganza in 2 weeks. Sorry, buddy. Back to you, Mason.
We'll do it live. We'll fix it in post.
That's right. Our motto. That's our motto.
No, that's awesome. I actually can't wait for that show. I know we'll be handing out a bunch of game props, sides, totals. We've even been looking at the national anthem, the Gatorade colors. So you name it. If you can bet on it in the Super Bowl, we'll be talking about it. So please don't forget about that. And my final reminder, if you guys could please like, subscribe, hit that bell, comment, tell me who you're betting on this weekend. Make sure to come back in 2 weeks, like the Steamroller just said, so you can catch our NFL Super Bowl show. Thank you guys so much, and good luck with all your picks.